Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Star Trek has redeemed Enterprise's most underrated character after 20 years. Hoshi Sato, the communications officer aboard the Enterprise NX-01, was a valuable crew member who never quite got their due. Now, almost 800 years later, in IDW's new Star Trek, The Last Starship -1, the full extent of Hoshi's legacy is revealed, and it is amazing. Star Trek The Last Starship -1 is written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly and drawn by Adrian Bonilla. Fans meet Captain Delacorte Sato, skipper of the Sagan in the 30th century. He is on a mission of the utmost importance: convince the Gorn to join the Federation. Yet despite Hoshi's undeniable gifts, fans left Enterprise with the feeling the character went largely undeveloped. Several factors are blamed for this slight, such as poor writing. While billed as an ensemble show, many of Enterprise's junior officers were also given short shrift to character development. This was a tragedy, as the characters were ripe with potential. As one of the first communications officers in Starfleet, Hoshi played a critical role in numerous first contact situations. Clearly put, Hoshi deserved better. Fortunately, the Star Trek comics have come to Hoshi's rescue. In 2022, IDW launched a new flagship Star Trek title. Set in the 24th century, roughly 3 years after the end of Deep Space Nine, the series followed Ben Sisko as he and a crew of Star Trek All-Stars fought against first a power-mad Klingon, and later a god like Lore. Among Sisko's crew were Star Trek luminaries such as Dr. Beverly Crusher, Tom Paris, and Montgomery Scott. The creators mixed in a few new faces as well, including the Andorian Lily Sato. It was revealed in 2023's Star Trek Annual that Lily was in fact a direct descendant of Hoshi Sato. How Hoshi Sato became involved with the Andorians is never revealed during the course of the book, but one thing is clear: Hoshi is a Starfleet legend by the 24th century. Furthermore, the name Sato carries with it prestige. Star Trek revealed that the Sato family is very much a Starfleet family, with members serving since the founding of the Federation. Star Trek's Lily Sato had some large shoes to fill, and the series left her final fate a mystery. In the book, Lily buckled under the weight of the Sato family name and briefly allied herself with Section 31. She later renounced the organization and atoned for her sin, but the series ended with her forsaking Starfleet. Fans were left wondering if the Sato name was mud in light of Lily's actions. Can rest assured it is not, and there are still members of the family serving in Starfleet hundreds of years later. Unlike his distant ancestor, Delacorte Sato has no problems with Starfleet and is captain of the flagship, charged with major diplomatic missions. Hoshi Sato was one of the first humans to travel to the final frontier, so it should come as no surprise she is a Starfleet legend. Even though the show may have failed her in terms of character development, the comics depicted her as the extraordinary talent she was, even if Hoshi herself was not in them. Star Trek has no first family to speak of. Captain Kirk had no children who survived him. Picard did have a son who entered Starfleet, but his fate is unknown. The comics, however, have made Hoshi Sato the scion of one of Starfleet's greatest families, redeeming this underrated Enterprise character. For 2 decades, Star Trek Enterprise remained one of the franchise's most divisive series, dismissed by some as a disappointing prequel, but quietly celebrated by others for its raw storytelling and grounded exploration of humanity's earliest days among the stars. Yet, one figure from that era was never given the recognition or redemption they deserved, until now. After 20 years, Star Trek has finally done justice to one of Enterprise's most underrated characters, Commander Charles "Trip" Tucker III. It's poetic, really. The man who embodied heart, humor, and humanity on Enterprise is finally being acknowledged for what he truly was, the emotional soul of Starfleet's early days. And through a new sequel story in the expanding Star Trek universe, Trip Tucker's legacy is being reborn in a way that reframes not just his death, but his enduring importance to Starfleet history. The forgotten hero of Enterprise. When Star Trek Enterprise premiered in 2001, Scott Bakula's Captain Jonathan Archer was meant to be the bold, flawed pioneer leading humanity's first Warp 5 ship. But from the very first episodes, it was Connor Trinneer's portrayal of Trip Tucker that gave the series its warmth. Trip was more than just a chief engineer. He was the emotional anchor for the crew. A Southern gentleman with grease on his hands and stars in his eyes, he embodied what Enterprise did best: remind viewers that these early Starfleet officers weren't perfect heroes yet. They were explorers fumbling toward greatness. While characters like T'Pol and Archer wrestled with logic and leadership, Trip was the beating heart of the NX-01. His friendship with Archer, his complicated romance with T'Pol, and his moral grounding made him deeply relatable. Yet despite Trinneer's heartfelt performance, Trip was often sidelined in fan discussions. His tragic and controversial death in the series finale, "These Are the Voyages," became a symbol of everything fans disliked about Enterprise's ending. A controversial death that never felt right. Trip's death, sacrificing himself to save Archer in the show's final episode, was sudden, unearned, and devastatingly hollow. Fans protested loudly that it felt unnecessary, a final gut punch to a loyal audience already struggling with the series' cancellation. Even Trinneer himself has said he felt Trip's death was a bad choice, a disservice to a character who had always represented hope and heart. But now, after 20 years, that injustice may finally be undone. The redemption arc begins in the new Star Trek Enterprise Legacy audio drama series, a spiritual continuation of the Enterprise story set years after the finale. Starfleet historians and descendants revisit the NX-01 crew's legacy. What begins as a documentary project soon unearths shocking revelations about Trip's so-called death. Classified Starfleet archives reveal that Commander Tucker didn't die aboard Enterprise at all. Instead, Section 31, Starfleet's covert intelligence agency, staged his death to recruit him for a dangerous mission deep within Romulan space. This stunning twist not only aligns with long-held fan theories that Trip's death was faked, but also redefines his role in Starfleet's future. Rather than being remembered as a tragic casualty, Trip becomes something greater: the hidden guardian of the Federation's birth. The hidden years. Trip's secret war. In Legacy, we learn that after his staged death, Trip operated under a false identity, infiltrating Romulan networks and gathering intelligence that would one day prove vital to the Federation's victory in the Earth-Romulan War. His engineering expertise, quick wit, and moral integrity made him the perfect agent, one capable of balancing espionage with empathy. But as the story unfolds, listeners are shown that Trip's time as a covert operative came at a great cost. The loneliness, the secrecy, and the moral compromises weigh heavily on him. His relationship with T'Pol, left unresolved for years, becomes a quiet ache that shapes his decisions. In one emotional recording, Trip confesses, "I used to fix engines. Now I break promises." The brilliance of Legacy lies in how it reclaims Trip's agency. His death, once meaningless, is now a sacrifice of a different kind, one made willingly for the greater good. He gave up his identity, his friendships, and even his love to ensure humanity's survival. T'Pol's closure and the emotional full circle. Perhaps the most emotional moments in Legacy come not from Trip himself, but from T'Pol. Decades after the NX-01 mission, she is shown listening to the recovered Section 31 recordings, learning the truth about Trip's fate for the first time. The Vulcan composure she worked so hard to maintain begins to crack as she realizes he lived and died for something greater than she ever imagined. Her logical mind wrestles with guilt, grief, and pride all at once. The story closes the emotional loop that Enterprise left painfully open. Their relationship, which had been built on contrast, logic versus emotion, duty versus desire, finally receives the acknowledgement it deserved. It's no longer a tragic what if. It becomes the defining love story of Starfleet's earliest years, reframing Trip's legacy in Star Trek history by restoring Trip Tucker's story. Legacy reframes Enterprise's entire place within the Star Trek mythos. No longer the forgotten prequel, the series becomes the foundation of Starfleet's moral and political evolution. Trip's hidden service becomes a secret cornerstone of the Federation's values, a reminder that its formation wasn't just about diplomacy and exploration, but also sacrifice and courage in the shadows. The new canon interpretation paints Trip as the prototype for later Starfleet heroes. Part Kirk's daring, part Scotty's ingenuity, part O'Brien's working-class heart. He was, in every sense, the blueprint for what Starfleet would become. The fans' long-awaited vindication. For longtime Enterprise fans, this redemption feels deeply personal. For years, they championed Trip as one of Star Trek's most overlooked characters, a man who embodied the best of humanity before humanity had the stars. Connor Trinneer's return to voice the older, war-weary Trip in Legacy only deepens that emotional resonance. Hearing him once again slip into that familiar Southern drawl, now tempered with wisdom and weariness, feels like welcoming back an old friend who's finally been given the recognition he always deserved. I reckon I finally understand what Archer was fighting for, Trip says in the series' final scene. Not just the stars, but the right to be better tomorrow than we were yesterday. It's a line that encapsulates not just his personal journey, but Star Trek itself. A redemption worth the wait. 2 decades later, Star Trek has finally made things right. Trip Tucker's story, once cut short by a careless finale, has been transformed into a tale of endurance, sacrifice, and the quiet heroism that defines the Federation's heart. More than that, it reaffirms what Enterprise always tried to tell us, that the path to the stars wasn't clean or easy, but paved by people who dared to believe in something bigger than themselves. Trip Tucker's redemption isn't just about rewriting a death. It's about honoring the humanity that Star Trek has always celebrated, the courage to hope, to love, and to build something better. And after 20 long years, one thing is certain. Charles Trip Tucker III finally gets to live, not in secret this time, but in the hearts of every fan who never stopped believing he deserved more. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.